Hey guys, this is my first YouTube video, so if there's anything that I can do differently or better, just please let me know. I hope you enjoy the video. When they told me about the creatures, they didn't sound as scary as everyone thinks. The only scary thing is that they can look like us. They changed the way that they look to fit in. But I think where people get scared is that you can be one of them without even knowing. It lays dormant inside of you until a trauma or a fight or flight situation happens. Most people have a feeling that they're normal, but there's always that thought in the back of your head. The settlement I live in is pretty tame compared to others I've heard about. Here, you can do as you please as long as you get your chores done first. Everyone helps each other out here. In some of the other settlements, they have trauma camps. That's where they put you through traumatic situations to see if they can bring the creature out of you. They'll waterboard you, tase you, maybe even light you on fire enough to start to singe your skin. They also have groups of people where they'll just come in and beat you until you try and defend yourself. The creatures have amazing strength and agility. A lot of the time, the people just get tortured for no reason. They find very few creatures and they're just scarring their people. When they do find one, it's some of the most extreme things you can see. Thankfully, I've never seen a creature before, but from what I've heard, it's a bloodbath. Once the person turns, they lunge at the nearest person, trying to rip their limbs off and eat their flesh. The creatures feed off of our blood and our organs, but while they lay dormant, they don't need to feed. My chores tend to be keeping the gardens maintained and afterwards keeping an eye on the gate. We can't ever trust an outsider. You never know if they're a creature or not. I was in the garden today and I'm tending to the tomatoes and the cabbage. Those are the closest that we have to harvesting. After I'm finished, I go up over to the gates and I stand on the wall surrounding the settlement. I'm looking out over and I see a car driving up. We don't normally get shipments at this time of month. It's mid-June and we get shipments at the start of the month. I yell for Jeb to come over and take a look. He looks through his binoculars. He said it's people from one of the bigger settlements. He tells me to prepare for the worst but stand my ground. They pull up and tell me and Jeb to come down there. The president has some words that he needs to share with us. I look over at Jeb and he just stands still. Jeb yells, "You can yell from there and we can hear your words that you've brought for us." The man looks over at each other and they laugh and then he pulls out a gun and he shoots Jeb. Jeb falls onto his knees and I rush over to help him. The men yell for me to come down there or they'll ransack our settlement. Jeb in his last breath tells me to go but be strong. As I get up and I'm going down to them, I see the others in the settlement coming over. I signal for them to stay there. My hands are shaking. I open up the gate and I close it behind me and make sure that it's locked. I get over to the men and they put a hand on my shoulder and push me to the ground. He holds the barrel of the gun to my head and cocks the gun. He starts to yell for everyone in the settlement to come and look. I'm trembling. I hear the bullet chamber into his gun. He's going to kill me. I wake up in the forest in the middle of the night and I'm covered in blood and I see scraps of flesh wrapped around a tree. I hear a voice inside my head. Please don't be alarmed. We aren't dangerous, just misunderstood. I scramble backwards and I land near a puddle. I look into the puddle and I see my form change into what I've been told the creatures look like. I reach up and touch my face and I see my face warp back to normal. "I'm not gonna hurt you," the voice says again. I start to look at my hand and it looks normal. "Yes, you're still normal, but I've been here all along. I'll do my best to keep you alive and well. Your settlement's people didn't see what I had to do before I fled us to the woods. We're only a mile or two from your settlement, but keep in mind, no one can know I'm here, because if I come out, it never ends well." The next morning I get up and I start to walk back home. As I'm walking, I feel my legs start to change, and I look down and I feel legs from a different planet. They look like they've been built for moving at high speeds. I start walking, but as I start to move at incredible pace, running faster than I've ever seen a car move. As I get closer to the settlement, I start to slow down and my legs go back to normal. When I get there, I yell for someone to open the gate. Jessie comes down and opens the gate to let me in. She hugs me and lets me know that she can't believe that I'm alive, that there was so much blood, and that she pulls me into her house. "Are you one of them? There was so much blood and there was only scraps left and you came back without a scratch on you." I hear in my head, "Don't say a word about me. If anyone finds out, they will try to kill you. They don't understand us." No, I'm not. I kind of just gave them what they had coming. I kind of blacked out a little, but from what we've heard, once you turn into one of those things, you never turn back. "I'm okay, Jesse. I'm gonna go to the garden. I'm gonna assume no one kept up with it today," I say to her calmly. I tend to the garden, then I go back to my shack to sleep. As I'm sleeping, I get dreams of me ripping out the throats of the men who killed Jeb, then gorging myself on their entrails. I jump awake and I hear in my head, I need to eat now. That I've been awoken, I need to feed on flesh and meat. It needs to be fresh. If you don't have the guts to do it, I'll take over and I'll find someone to eat. Find an animal or a person now. I stand up from my bed quickly and I start to go out to where we have the cows. I know there's an old one in there that's on its last leg. I get into the barn. Thankfully, it's real late, so no one's out and about. I go over to where the cow is. She's real old, barely kicking. I think in my head, will this work? Perfectly. And I feel my body start to crack and change into one of those creatures, but this time I don't black out. You have to watch. You'll get used to this. I hear from within my head, and then I lunge forward and I sink my teeth into the cow and start to rip chunks out of flesh and start to feast.